Hey, Sneak Peek, it's Shane, and we're here at the red carpet for iZombie. The zombie genre has kind of blown up in the recent years. How do you think iZombie kind of makes its mark on that?
Well, I was nervous when I read a pilot called iZombie because I felt like, The Walking Dead is on air at the moment and is like the zombie genre is done well by another show. And then I read the script and it was nothing like zombies as I knew them. Not only is it a zombie genre show, but it's also a procedural and it's romantic and it's comedic and dramatic and it's got really a bit of everything. And I think it's refreshing to see a zombie show where the character knows that zombies exist in pop culture and it's self-aware like that. So I think we have our own spin on it very much.
And Rob's kind of know with like Veronica Mars, she has really strong lead female characters. How does your character fall into that mold, do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's why I was so excited to get on board, was knowing that Rob and Diane both have a track record for making these strong female characters. There's nothing tokenistic about them being women. They're very strong heroines in their own right. And it's an interesting one, too. She was bubbly and vivacious and type A personality, but when we meet her in the show, she's sullen and cynical and very hard on herself. And getting to watch her come through this trajectory and be weirdly more human than a lot of characters are, even though she's a zombie, I thought was a really refreshing role.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So this is iZombie's based off of a comic book. What drew you when you saw that comic? What made you think, okay, this needs to be a TV show that we all need to see?
The head of Warner Brothers Development told me it was, and that was a big part of the inspiration. And they really came to me less about we need to get a zombie show on the air as we need the next great female hero on the CW. We need the next Buffy. We need the next Veronica, and what she did was she put the first issue of iZombie on my desk, and there's this great cover that shows her with this platinum blonde hair, and she looks badass, and she said, "This is the girl." And I was editing the Veronica Mars movie at the time and was already writing a pilot, and I tried to say no, and she wouldn't let me, much to my happiness now. And finally, I was so swamped, I asked if I could write it with my frequent writing partner, Diane Ruggiero, and they jumped on board, and that made it doable for me.
So,
Sure. Yeah.
it's a very different show than what you've done before. Like Veronica Mars was much more detective work. This is zombie. What would you say is different, other than obviously being undead, is different from other shows you've done before?
Yeah, and this one does have a sort of a mystery case of the week, but I would say that on Veronica Mars we were very interested in the gumshoe aspect, like even the mystery play at home notion. Like, we wanted to put the clues on screen. We were religious about having a lot of red herrings, and we spent a lot of time on that mystery case of the week. The thing we found on iZombie is sort of the fun of the show happens to be like the characters that Liv is playing because of the brain she eats, and we have this automatic shortcut in the mystery cases because she gets the memories of the dead. And so I would say we have emphasized the zombie mythology and the character stuff, and maybe we're playing a little bit less of the mystery case of the week, probably servicing that a bit less, because I think the fun in a zombie show is the zombie stuff.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My character is Blaine De Beers. He is the yin to Liv's yang. She's the opposite of the spectrum. He's the main heavy. Let's just say that, okay? He becomes a zombie at the same time she becomes a zombie, and where she is having trouble getting used to her newfound zombieism, this newfound plight. He has less of a moral compass and is accepting of it.
So from shows like Alias and Once Upon a Time, you seem to have a real knack for sci-fi kind of fantasy shows. What draws you to that genre?
I do like to be a part of genre television. Nothing against. We have this procedural element to our show, but it's a genre. It's a serialized procedural, which is great. It's like every show combined into one. The work kind of has found me. I think once I became part of it, they came asking me to do more of it, and we get paid to pretend here, and so getting to pretend at such a high level, like high drama and high fantasy, is a delight.
I was going to ask, iZombie is a very many different genres in one show. Very unique. What was it like working on something so different than anything else on television right now?
It was a lot of fun, and from the get-go, there was a different vibe on set. Because there is that mix of there's so many elements where like in a given day you're shooting an action sequence, kind of a romantic scene, and then something that's just outrageous and hilarious. And I've never had that opportunity before, so I can't speak to how that typically feels. But to me, I left walking away going, I think this thing's got the magic. Like this might be good. It's got all the right stuff in place.
So your character on iZombie is a police detective, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is based on a comic book, and a lot of things. It could be like a Batman Gordon kind of relationship. How does that relationship work on iZombie with you and Liv?
Yeah, it works. She's pretty much like you said, like she's my sidekick. Or I'm her sidekick, however you want to say it. We're each other's sidekicks. I don't know if she's a zombie. I'm in the dark about that. I just think she's a goth chick, who has psychic abilities. So to kind of play off her, what's fun about it is she takes on different characteristics and different traits per episode. And so it's kind of like having a different sidekick per episode, which is a lot of fun, which leads to a lot of comedy, and it's a good time.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. What can you tell me more about your character in iZombie?
Well, he's the morgue doctor. So he works for the Seattle Police Department, and he is the only character that knows Liv's secret. He's a confidant. He's just an enthusiastic nerd.
So on the set of iZombie, it's a very different kind of show in the best possible way. How does that compare to other projects you've done that have been more traditional in the genres?
Well, I'm going to sell myself short here. There wasn't many projects before iZombie. This is kind of my first real big project. I was mainly on stage back at home. But this show for me, I think it stands out simply. We're a family, we're a group of mates, and it's like being at school. Every time we see each other on set, it's like you just saw your friends before you go into class, and it's just got a great energy. We've become a very tight unit.
So what drew you to iZombie in the first place? It's such an interesting concept for a show.
Well, when Rob sent the comic to me, we loved it. I mean, just when you see the cover of Michael Allred's artwork, you're just in love from the beginning. But it's just that time, like quarter-life crisis that people have, where they're in their 20s and they're suddenly realizing that life isn't going to be what they thought it would be, and they're wondering what they're going to do with their life. Having that in a zombie setting is just so brilliant that we couldn't help but want to do it.
So you and Rob have worked on multiple projects together, including Veronica Mars, which was at South by last year.
Yes.
How is y'all's working relationship work?
It's great. He's kind of like my brother, and so he busts my chops all the time and will point out when I write non-jokes. But he's also very encouraging, and we have a very similar sense of humor. As soon as we met on Veronica Mars, it was pretty clear pretty quickly that we were in sync and that we had similar mindsets. So. And let's face it, I'm just like hitched myself to his wagon, and I'm like, let's enjoy the ride. So.
Thank you.
There we go.